Hello and a very warm welcome to all of you. So, we're delighted to have you join us for this month's edition of the Pluxee Consumer Webinar. It's an exclusive initiative designed to bring meaningful insights and added value to all our consumers. So, today's session will truly be an engaging one as we explore the topic how to rebuild relationships at the workplace. As we all know, not every work relationship is the same. Some lift us up, some ground us, and some unfortunately may hold us back. But when nurtured well, workplace relationships can help with professional success and personal well being. Today's session will be led by Ms. Sanjana Lunia, a renowned psychologist and yoga practitioner. Sanjana brings in over a decade of experience and has done more than 100 workshops for both individuals and corporates. Sanjana brings deep insight into the emotional dynamics of workplace. Her expertise will help us better understand and navigate the complexities of professional relationships at workplace. So without further ado, let's dive in. Over to you, Sanjana.
Hi everyone, good evening and welcome to the workshop. So we're just going to quickly start by centering ourselves before we kind of get into the whole theoretical aspect. So I just want everyone to take a couple of minutes. Let's just close our eyes. Let's just settle down. Let's just try and center ourselves before we start this. So kind of finish up whatever you're doing and let's close our eyes, settle down, sit comfortably. Let's just take a few deep breaths in and out. Deep breath in, easy breath out. Keep your eyes closed. Gentle awareness to the breath. Just using these few minutes here to center ourselves. Just a few more rounds. Easy inhale, easy exhale. If you're feeling a little extra tired, take a nice long breath in through the nose and just exhale through the mouth like this. Just a couple of rounds like this. Just preparing ourselves for the next 45 minutes. Sitting comfortably, engaging, understanding more about relationships and how that's going to affect our work. Before we start, just centering ourselves. A few more deep breaths in and out. And slowly, just blink open your eyes. Hi, everyone. So, today we're going to, as Samya already said, we're going to work about the topic is rebuilding relationships at workplace. So, why are relationships important? Okay, human beings, we as Homo sapiens are basically social animals. We cannot survive without one another. Our survival literally depends on cooperation and coordination with one another. So, in the hunter-gatherer times and when how we evolved as human beings, we evolved as social animals. That's why relationships play such an important part of our lives. It's personal, whether it's work, whether it's any kind of relationship, it's very, very, very important. Even just a casual relationship with a shopkeeper, even that matters, right? That matters. So numerous studies, psychological studies, we don't really need studies for this because I think in our own lives, we can see an example like if you have an altercation with someone or a fight with someone or an argument with someone, it affects you emotionally. Even if it's just for some time, even if it's not important, even if it's a small matter, right? It affects you emotionally because that is the type of impact relationships have on us. So think about it in career, in your work environment, how important this becomes, right? How important your relationships become here. So, what we're going to do is before I dive into the theoretical part, I'm just going to take a quick poll. So, I'm going to just start that poll, and I would like everyone to just answer this, starting this poll, and then we'll just kind of get into this. So, it's how would you describe your current relationship at work? So, it would be nice if people could just vote. Yeah, I'll just give everyone a couple of minutes. This. Right. Yeah, they're just coming in the votes, so I'm just waiting for that. Okay, that's amazing. So it's like a tie between mostly positive and collaborative, which is great, and neutral, so just professional. Now, how can we make these neutral, just professional relationships a little bit better so they can help us? So let's understand what are the work relationships. There are two types of work relationships, even in the workplace. One is strictly professional, wherein you talk to one another only basis work. So that could be with anyone. And one is personal, where you make friendships at work. We spend a large amount of times in our workplace, 8 hours a day, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, right? So it is invariable that you will make personal connections. It is very, very, very difficult to not make personal connections when you spend so much time with one another. So, most of us do end up making a lot of friends in the workplace. It could also be like strained relationships in the workplace, strained relationships, friendships, all of that can happen in the workplace. So, personal life is a big part of our work life. And the impact of these relationships have on your career advancement, they have on your mental well-being, and they have on your productivity. And we're just going to dive a little bit deeper into understand how it happens. So professional is basically focused mainly on work. It's project oriented. It's very formal, your professional relationship, right? It is based on mutual respect. It has to be a very respectful relationship when it comes to professional, because when you don't find that mutual respect, you're not going to be able to either continue that well, and that professional relationship will not even help you. If there's no mutual respect, it's not going to really help you grow. And your personal relationships is based on shared interests. Two people like the same food, or they like the same game or same sport or something. And through, just talking, you kind of find that you have shared interests and you form those personal bonds. It's very informal, it's built over time. So you probably catch up over tea or your tea break. These are your personal relationships that we form in our workplace. And why? So these are the two relationships that we have in the workplace, right? Now, why is this important? Like, and how do you balance these relationships? Because what tends to happen is, if the professional and personal sometimes they get very intermingled. Like, for example, you have a professional relationship with someone who's also your friend, and they might ask you to do a favor which is not in your purview of work, and maybe you don't have the capacity to do it, but sometimes you feel like, oh no, he's my friend or she's my friend, and they'll feel bad, and you kind of go over and above. So that can happen, and that's not really good for your mental well-being. That kind of sometimes you feel like you might be getting taken advantage of, so that could happen. So this bridge and balancing these two relationships is very, very important. Okay. So how do you balance these two relationships? Now, the biggest thing is recognize the needs. Now, identify when to prioritize tasks or emotional support. Now, if someone's asking you something which is probably not in your purview of work, or it's a favor, you have to understand what is it that is required. Recognize the need. Now, your work, your task is more important at this point, or are you good enough to be stretched out a little bit? So all those things are very important. So it's always important when you feel like this professional and personal is getting mixed, assess it, assess the requirement. Is it going to be too much for you? Is it cutting out of your work time? Is it cutting out of your personal life, your family time, or anything else, or your hobbies or your interests? So it's very important to recognize and assess that need. what is it that, and that will help you establish boundaries. It will help you understand what you should do and what you probably is not required. And now these two things can happen. Setting boundaries and recognizing needs can happen when you communicate openly. That is one of the biggest things that come when you want to work on balancing these relationships. Okay. This is very important. Now, communicating openly, building mutual understanding to avoid conflicts. That is the most important thing here. We're going to understand and work on effective communication strategies now. So, effective communication strategies, there are three very, very simple things that work on this. It's active listening, paying attention to non-verbal cues, paying attention to exactly what has been said, how it's been said, right? It's very, very important. Understand the need, understand the requirement, understand the emotion behind that requirement. Very important to assess that. And that will help you understand how important that request is. Okay. Very important to clear and concise language. Now, for example, if someone's asking something of you, okay, it's whatever, favor, a work favor, or anything, and you're not able to understand the language they're using in terms of if they're not clear, they're not concise, it's very important that you ask them to repeat themselves or say, okay, you know what, is this what I understood? Am I right? So that is very, very important that you have this back and forth communication and it's clear and concise. If something is ambiguous, where you feel like no, there's no clear timeline for this, or they're just like, just do this, it'll happen, and we'll next week I'll assess. So if you feel like it's very ambiguous, the request, very important that you can actually find that words for yourself and ask them clear and concisely. Okay, I don't understand what this means, so how can we improve this, or what is the problem exactly, and the timeline and things like that. So you can work with that if something is not clear and concise. And obviously respectful and open, very, very important. So avoid blame, focus on solutions in a workplace environment. I'm going to actually put another poll which says, now we've understood there are two types of workplace relationships. There's professional, there's personal. How can we actually, draw the boundaries between both? And communication is a very essential part. Now I want to get into the emotional aspect of it. So I want to actually put this poll out. It's going to say, the question is, do you think your emotional well-being affects how you relate to your colleagues? Okay, I'm going to start this poll. Yeah. So yes, most of you have written absolutely. It plays a huge role. So we cannot remove our emotion out of the work that we do, even though it's a professional setting. Most of us know that the way we feel, the relationships around us, how they make us feel, it plays a huge role in our day-to-day lives. Whether we are communicating with our boss, our superiors, colleagues, employees, at whatever position you're in, the way your emotions are obviously affect how the whole thing goes and how you relate to your colleagues and how you work with them. So a few of you also said that some days it doesn't really, depending on the day. And very a few of you have said that not really, which is great that it's possible that, you're able to manage and maintain your emotional life separately beyond that. Fostering trust and empathy. Now, how can this work? How can you, the emotion aspect of it is there. It makes a big, uh, on your relationships, it has a big influence. So, fostering trust and empathy. These are the two very important things while building relationships in the work or even any other place, right? So be reliable, meet commitments, be accountable. So especially when you're building professional relationships, when you want to grow in your workplace, meeting your commitments, being accountable are very, very important. That builds trust among your colleagues, that builds trust between your bosses, even between your employees. As a boss, if you're able to meet your commitments and be accountable, you will get that respect, you will get that loyalty from your employees. Showing empathy is very, very important. A lot of times we feel like people in the workplace might not understand what we're going through, because of like personal problems, if you're not able to function properly. There are days when things can be really bad. So showing empathy to your fellow employees is very, very important. I feel like it will build them up also a little bit more, and that empathy can actually change their mindset for the day and actually help them, function better, be more productive on that day when we show them empathy. Even though we can't do much, we're showing that we understand how they're feeling and actually be like, okay, I have a support system. Even though they can't do anything, let me at least do my work and I can deal with my problems later. Being honest is very, very important. So I think that will really help you grow, whether it's your career, whether it's establishing relationship with anybody. Now, how? So we had another poll question. It says, what is the biggest barrier to rebuilding broken relationships? Poor communication, lack of trust, ego, and misunderstanding. A lot of you have written that, and I think that is it shows that how us suffer with this ego and misunderstanding. And misunderstanding. What is misunderstanding? It's a lack of poor communication. When something has been said, but you have obviously taken it another way or not understood what has happened, there's no clear, concise communication. That is the biggest problem. Now, how can we go about rebuilding these damaged relationships? One of the most important things I think is acknowledging the issue. Okay, what is the issue between two people? What is the issue? Having that conversation very, very clearly, removing ego aside. Whether, if you're able to do it and make that effort, it would be great. If you're waiting for the other person to do it, it may or may not happen. But, acknowledging the issue is very, very important. Again, open communication, all those three techniques: effective, active listening, clear and concise, and being open and honest, and finding common ground. I think a lot of people fall short in this part, wherein we're not able to find common ground of what works for both the parties. So important to focus on the solutions, important to find some form of compromise, and that is when you can move forward. Otherwise, it's very, very difficult to move forward from the issue that has already happened. We have another poll. Basically, yes. So if you did have a fallout with a teammate, would you be open to repairing that relationship? Yeah. So a lot of you are saying that you believe in second chances. That is great, because more often than not, what will happen is that teammate is going to be there, whether you like it or not, right? In the workplace, that relationship is going to be there. Maybe it will change somehow in the future, but at that point of time, you guys have to work together. So it is very important that you work on rebuilding that damaged relationship, because even if not now, I'm not sure if a lot of us have observed, a lot of the times in your 20s, in your college, you meet someone, and then somehow many, many years later, when you're 30s, when you're 40s, you might meet them in a workplace, you might need a favor or anything, right? Like, people you meet, the relationship will always either help you in the future, or if the relationship has been sour, it will obviously work against you. So I think that is a very important dynamic. Instead of looking at just the present scenario, think 5 years down the line, if I happen to meet this person in another company, in a personal event, wherever, right? What is it that had happened? Has it been repaired? Will it affect me anytime in the future if I need something, right? Because all of us need something. We always need to collaborate. And even if you as a person, uh, can you give it? If it has been bad from someone else, right? It has happened to you. But if you meet them 5 years later and they ask something of you, are you able to provide that? Because if you are in a position of power and you are able to provide whatever it is, a favor, a job, project, anything, right? Are you able to provide that? So it depends on how the relationship was handled, the damaged relationship was handled when it happened. So a lot of us do believe in second chances, which is great, which will actually help you repair and mend the broken relationships. Just if anybody has any questions, we'll take a quick minute to break it up. So I'm not the only one talking, and then we'll move forward. We just have a few more slides and activity after this. So any questions you can put on the chat box. If you guys want me to continue, just I will continue. Yeah, if there's a question, somebody raised their hand, you can type it out in the chat box or there's one question, how to deal with an egoist boss. And next one is how to get work from others. So I think how to deal with an egoist boss could be quite common for a lot of people, but I think it's a personal experience. It's very important to understand that so it's most probably it's always going to be a professional egoistic one, because I think it might be a little difficult to make that more friendly or a more empathetic relationship with somebody who has a lot of ego. So it's very difficult. So very clearly, it's important that you know that this is a strictly professional relationship. You will not be able to, very difficult to get empathy, support out of a person like that. So I think as long as you are doing your job, great. Like if you have met your deadlines, all of this, and if you believe that your work has been done properly, I think that is the best way to deal with an egoistic boss. Because I think to venture into trying to, stroke the ego, it might get difficult for some of us. It's not always easy for a lot of us to stroke other people's ego, because we feel like if we've done the work, we wouldn't want to do this. So what the best would be is to actually just make sure you do your work well, maintain strictly professional boundaries from your side as well, saying, this is my career advancement, but these are my professional boundaries. You can't venture out into anything else. So I would not suggest the ego stroking, but of course, if you can find sometimes a soft spot with the boss or a common interest, maybe that can kind of help you, maybe even lighten the relationship a little. Like it could be on a common interest of food or whatever you feel like. So sometimes that might soften the boss a little bit. So I think you can try that. Work done from others or juniors is again clear communication and boundaries, saying this is what is expected out of you, this is the job. So clear communication, and I think consequences are important also when it comes to getting work done from others, because see, we all are in a job, we all are getting paid for the job we're doing. If you're not going to do it, there are going to be consequences. So whatever may be the consequences based on your company policies. So I think that is another very important thing to make people understand that when you're doing when you're at a job and if you're not going to do the work, there are consequences to that. So I think that is a great way to have a very clear, strict, direct communication saying this is what is expected out of you. If this is not done, these are the consequences you face of a job not getting done. So yeah, I hope I've somewhat answered those questions, because yeah, those can be tricky things, like especially egoistic boss and all can be very tricky. So I've just a very generic done this. Okay, let's continue. Addressing conflicts constructively is very, very important. So again, identifying the root cause, expressing your concerns respectfully, and agreeing on the mutually agreeable solutions is very, very important. Now, how do you maintain healthy relationships? Regular communication. See, I think we keep coming back to this communication. It is one of the root cause for most of the things in all our relationships. Because most people, either they say something so badly, so words can't be taken back. It's like an arrow, right? What you say is an arrow gone. You can't come back. Or some people just shut down. So they don't communicate, or they don't talk only, or they'll be very angry and things like that. So this communication is the key in your relationship. It's professional, personal. It's very, very important. So regular communication, stay connected. If you haven't heard from someone, just check into them. So that helps maintain that relationship. Again, mutual support, offer assistance, be there for each other. Work can get hectic. Private lives can get hectic. So it's very important that that support is there. So you can maintain those relationships in your workplace and celebrate successes. Even if it's a small thing, not everyone is going to like for example, you have an egoistic boss, but you did something really well. You might not get a pat on your back from your boss, but if your colleagues are there, if you know somebody else who has an egoistic boss, celebrate their success for them, even if their boss doesn't do it, even if somebody else does. So that will help you establish relationships apart from the ones which are difficult. So what happens is, along with the difficult relationship, if you also have supportive relationship in the workplace, that makes your work environment better for yourself. That is very important, right? Difficult relationships are there everywhere. It will be there. You will encounter one or two very, very difficult people. But at the same time, if you feel like you create another support system, colleagues, teammates, other people in office, from other team, if you're able to make those friendships, that kind of helps you sustain the difficultness, with your boss or with anybody else. So we spoke about these relationships. What do these relationships do in the workplace? There are two kinds of relationships. One is going to support your growth and boost motivation daily, right? Uplifting relationship. Somebody has a great boss. He's a great motivator, and he's being able to bring his team together. Some are draining bonds. It could be an egoistic boss. That's a draining bond. It's very difficult for you to keep working and doing it for them. So these bonds are also very important to understand. They obviously cause stress, they reduce focus, they lower your job satisfaction. What do we do about these two bonds? Now, uplifting bonds, obviously manage them. If you are in a position to create those bonds, create those uplifting bonds for others. If you're in a group that is like that, maintain that. So by managing those healthy relationships. Draining bonds, what can you do? See, you can't cut off what you're not going to go to work. You're quit. You can't quit your job or has need our work. So, what do we do about those draining bonds? Is the most important question. Uh, they cause a lot of stress. Now, what you need to do is you need to work on stress release techniques for yourself. Now, that is very important here because if your boss is not going to change. You cannot quit your job. You need that job, or you like your job, but your boss is not going to change. It causes you a lot of stress. You need to work on a lot of stress release, stress management techniques. We'll talk about those also a little bit. So that is very, very important. You need to work on yourself to understand how you can show up in this position in your best possible. So a lot of self-care comes here. A lot of taking support from others comes here in draining bonds, how to deal with them. Again, the relationships can be task focused, they can be emotional support. So that's we've been talking about this, so kind of just like going back to it. Very, very simple task focused. If you're a boss and a junior, sometimes it's a very task focused relationships. Emotional support relationships can be between team members. Sometimes even the boss could be really, really great and he could be those that help you with those support. So they are the two types of relationship, and all of us need both these relationships at workplace. You can't work with only task focused relationships because you need that break, you need that little bit of laughter, you need that little bit of joke, with your friends and things like that. And you can't obviously just base like emotional support relationships. You're here to even do the work, right, and excel in your career or grow. So these two relationships are very important, and all of us have this in the workplace. Work and friendship. When this happens, I think that creates magic. It creates so much fun in the workplace, and a lot of these things are there, right? My work best friend, my work like sister, work brother, all of that. People you meet later in your 20s, in your 30s, in your workplace, and they become family and they become best friends, like their kids and all of that. Their families. So that creates a great work environment. And what does the do is enhanced collaboration. Obviously, like you're able to build more together, work better together. A lot of engagement. You're going to feel happy going to office. That's very important. So if you're a boss and if you can create that environment, doesn't have to be between you and your employee. It can be within your teams. You can encourage that, the team building activities, all of those things. It'll build a lot of bonds and loyalty and a lot of job satisfaction. It obviously removes a lot of stress when you can have a great day. Building and rebuilding bonds is obviously we start small. You have to be consistent. You have to address the conflict, celebrate wins. Very, very important. Uh, what we're going to do is we are going to do a quick activity and then kind of just read it. So two activities we're going to do. If everyone has a pen and a paper, it would be really great. We could do this. We are going to identify relationships now. Okay. So take a pen, take a paper. This is for yourself. This is an activity for yourself. Especially if you're having a lot of trouble at workplace, it is a great activity. Even if you feel like you're thriving at workplace, it's a great activity. So you can see, okay, what is it that's helping me thrive? Now, I want you to identify strictly professional relationship, strictly personal relationship you have at work, which is not a part of your work equation at all. Maybe a friend from another team, which doesn't even come into contact with you. A mixed relationship. Okay. So these three other relationships I want you to identify: strictly professional, personal, and a mix. It can be with how many other people. You can take your top two, three relationships that are very important for you, for your job, for your sanity, for everything. And identify whether this is beneficial, whether this is harmful for me. How is it helping me, right? So actually jotting it down, understanding it will actually help you understand, okay, these are my professional, these are my personal, these are my mixed relationship. Now, this is harmful, this is beneficial. Harmful either to your mental health, either to your work, either to your physical health, whatever. Harmful to you, however, and how this is beneficial. So, jot it down. So, I'll give everyone like about 3 to 4 to 5 minutes, just kind of averagely jotted down top five relationships. It doesn't have to be with like your 200 employees, right? Top relationships which matter to you, which affect you. So just jot that down. Okay. So yeah, lots of questions. We go one by one. So I hope everyone's done that. You've identified your relationships. Now each relationship, what you can do is, if it's a beneficial relationship, great. You don't have to worry about it. You just have to focus on maintaining that relationship. Right? If it's a harmful relationship, what are the concerns of that relationship? Identify those concerns. Then work on understanding how you can build and strengthen that relationship, because that relationship is still important with your boss. Whether it's harmful, it's an important relationship, right? So then those individually you can figure out this is what needs work. So this is a great activity where instead of your mind being everywhere, you've actually jotted it down, write down the problems. Okay, this is the problem with this harmful relationship. And then there can be a structure on how to build it and how to strengthen that relationship. So yeah, this is a really great activity to work on your relationship. So even personal, you can do this like in your personal life as well. It helps understand the relationships. It helps understand which relationships to put your time and effort in and which to not, because some are not beneficial. It doesn't require the energy and it takes a lot from us more than it gives. So that can be very detrimental to your self care and your mental health and your physical. So address those concerns in your harmful relationship, understand what you need to build it and how you can strengthen it. So a lot of the times it'll be communication. A lot of the times it will be past grudges or things like those. So working on those individually will really help. Let's before we take the questions, lots of questions. We're going to do a quick stress release technique. So a lot of this boils down to getting stressed, physical health getting damaged, mental health getting damaged, right? A lot of the times, situation may not change. How much ever you try, people might not change. So there's not much you can do about it. Then things come in are how do we manage the stress? How to physically we manage the stress? Move your body, exercise. Uh, how to mentally manage this stress. So journaling, go to therapy if something is really, really difficult. Breath work and mindfulness are something that I'm going to quickly do with you. So simple breath work technique every time. Okay, let's settle down, close your eyes. And I just want you to squeeze the shoulders up and relax. Squeeze the shoulders up and relax. Good, relax. Close your eyes. We're going to do a simple technique where we're going to count our inhale and exhale. So we're going to do a 3-count inhale and a 5-count exhale. The idea is to slow down the breathing and to relax the nervous system. So let's begin. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Inhale 1, 2, 3. Exhale 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Keep going, just a few more rounds. Good job, guys. Slowly, rub your palms. And slowly close your eyes. Yeah. So I hope everyone did a very quick breath work that we did. You can do it multiple times in the day. To know it really, especially when you're very, very stressed, very, very important. If you feel like you're going into an encounter, which is, is going to be stressful, whether you're going to resolve a conflict or whether you're getting into something which is going to take a little bit more out of you emotionally. Always center yourself. Very, very important, very underrated, very, very underrated. Just watch yourself. When you're more centered, when you're more calmer, when you're more grounded, you show up more confident, you show up more clear and concise. And that will help you either put your point across, it will help you walk away when you don't need to be there, it will help you, resolve that conflict in a better manner because you're in a more controlled space from yourself. So just very important to keep our emotions in check. Very, very important to keep how we are feeling in check every time we feel like we're entering into something which might take a little bit out of us emotionally. And a simple breath work technique can actually help us. Scientifically, how it happens is when your breath is slower, your nervous system is more relaxed. When your nervous system is more relaxed, your body doesn't think it's in a harmful or it's under attack, and you're able to react. You don't react, you end up responding more calmly to situations. So that is a very, very important technique. If you don't take away anything from this workshop, take away this technique wherein you center yourself, focus on your breath, relax your body before you feel like you're entering something which is going to take a lot out of you. Okay. Let's yeah, we're going to do the next steps, which is a lot of it is questions. So let's take a few questions. Soumya, can I take a few questions or?
Sure.
For AM meetings.
So yeah, some practical.
You want me?
I'm sorry, Samir.
No, do you want me to get them to speak?
No, as
Because
most of them
we
have
do have a
written.
couple of people who have raised their hands also. So if they
Okay.
raise their hands, we can also get them to speak in addition to
Yeah.
the messages.
Just however, should I start with the ones that have written or ones that have raised hand? Just take a call. Let me.
Yeah, I just allowed someone to speak, Jyoti
Sure.
Swarupa.
Hi, Jyoti.
Jyoti, we can't hear you.
Oh, so
Maybe
sorry.
we'll move on to.
Mute.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
sorry. Hi, Sanjana. Thank you so much for this amazing session.
Hi.
I just have one doubt. See, workplace issue. Suppose I have faced one of the issue where I did, even if I tried to kind of communicate and sort it out, because it was purely because of a misunderstanding and ego of the other person couldn't take a constructive feedback. So when communicated and when tried to communicate it, I have faced backlash. Being a superior, I have faced backlash from the junior who was not ready to sort out the things and in fact created a group behind me and creating so much of negativity. So how to handle such kind of situation? So if I'm at the same level, maybe I would try one more time or two more times to have the discussion. But being a superior, I'm actually bounded by my boundaries as well. I don't want to continuously go back and talk to that person. So how to handle that kind of scenarios?
Okay. So a lot of the time, because a lot, companies have a lot of HR policies as well, and HR interventions and counselor interventions as well, right? So a lot of the times, because I don't know the company policy that you come from, but from a personal front, what you could do is, if you multiple times manage to tell them that this is it, they form groups behind the back. Is it an option to not have them in your team? If it's burned to a position where it, you know, to not have them to your team, to change their team or whatever, right? Because it's not working anymore. It's completely not beneficial for you as well. If you're in a position where you feel like it's an option for them to not be in your team, that could be an option. That's like, the last option where HR is involved, a higher person is involved. Otherwise, as you said, you are the superior, you have to draw boundaries. So you either keep your communication strictly professional with them. So if something can be done over an email, do it over an email instead of having a face-to-face thing where you can't, they can't change the team. They have to be in a team, but you've tried so much, you've tried talking to them, you've tried everything, but there is no other option. Then I would only say is minimize communication as much as possible and keep it strictly professional, and as much as possible email your your job or whatever, and draw your boundaries when you're having a conversation with them. You talk to them very clearly that I'm talking to you as your superior about this work, and you're not encouraging anything more. If you're a superior, if you're able to establish that this is it, I'm talking about work and I don't want to encourage anything more than this is what's required out of you. I obviously don't know the details of everything, so I can give you a very superficial in terms of if you're the superior, you can draw a boundary saying, this is the conversation I'm having, this is the professional boundary I'm drawing. We talk about work and nothing else, right? And as much if you can just mail your requests and things like that instead of actually having a daily work, debate every day with that person.
Mm-hmm.
So make it more as much as professional as possible.
Sure,
Keep it
sure.
very strictly professional. Don't
Mm.
encourage anything beyond a professional relationship with that individual.
Mm-hmm. Got it. This is really helpful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm glad. So I think I have a couple of people. How to avoid a meltdown during an argument or heated conversation at workplace. Amazing. A lot of people actually face that. And breath work and mindfulness and centering yourself is with what will help you stay grounded, avoid crying and things like that. I think that happens to a lot of us, and it's very common to get overwhelmed. A lot of us are not comfortable with shouting and screaming as people. I believe more often than not, people are not comfortable with that. So you might feel like, oh my God, like this is too much for me, and you might feel like a cry. But if you center yourself before that, if you know this is happening, if it's something you practice regularly, you will stay grounded, and that can really help. So, are we getting somebody else to ask, or
Hello.
yeah?
Hi, Sanjana. Can you hear me?
Hi. Yes.
Yeah, thanks for the session. And the breathing technique really works like a magic. I heard it a few times earlier as well in such emotional well-being sessions. So
Yeah.
thanks for reminding us once again, and thanks for all the tips that you have given. So coming to the query that I have is like in workplace, like we have a lot of team members working with us. So during most of the times, we'll try to be very professional, and we'll be controlling our feelings as well, even when we see our core team members not properly taking responsibilities, not doing works regularly, doing most of the repeated mistakes or something like that. But once in a while we'll get irritated, and we can't control that anger, right? So,
Of
and
course.
sometimes there will be a need to them inside, they not make sense again if we are being in the soft way, in the same way that we are communicating to them, so they may not take it seriously. So how to handle such situations without affecting relationships?
Yeah. So if you're in the position of power, boundaries are very clear. So even in that personal and professional, right? If it's a task-related requirement, it is, if you're the superior, it is your job to make sure that is communicated directly, correctly, because it's your job to get it done because you are answerable, right? It can be friendly, but that is again, it comes to recognizing the need. Is it a task? Identify the need. At that point, the task is more important, or the emotional support is more important to that employee. So when you recognize at that time what is more important, you'll understand that this at this point of time this task requires more. So you will be able to be in a position to demand out of that. And when it comes, okay, emotional support is more important, you will give that. So anytime in the future, if they question you, say, oh, you were very harsh, or we felt like you were rude, you can say this was a task related requirement and it was important and it needed to be done. Of course, when there's a time where you need the emotional support, or it's a friendly thing, I am friendly with you, but job was important. The need of the hour is the job. So I feel like when you make that distinction for them, they will understand, okay, when it comes to work, this is the communication style. And when you're being friends, yeah, you're being friendly. So you're not hampering the relationship, but work comes above at times. So you need to make that clear.
Great, thank you. So sometimes, so we need to balance both, and we need to make sure that they're not
100%.
uh,
Yeah, balancing both is very important, but that's so what happens is sometimes in that balancing both, sometimes you feel like you're getting taken advantage of because you're trying to be really nice and not get irritated, and so that is also important as a superior. Sometimes that is also important that you're like, okay, I'm going to be really nice and support them and balance this friendship, but if a job has to be done and if it's repeatedly done wrong, at times it's very okay to be a little stern and a little clear. Okay, this is your requirement, and please make sure that this is done and it's not repeated. So that doesn't make you a bad boss, if you're just asking.
and sometimes there might be a need to make them understand that it's only related to work, and don't take it in another
Exactly, it's
way.
nothing
Like,
personal, it's just
yeah,
work related. Exactly, you have to differentiate that very clearly so they know that it's not a personal attack on them, it's just the requirement of the job.
and sometimes it will be same repeated person will be doing the same mistakes, and if we keep telling this to the same person, they'll feel like, why me, not somebody else. So,
Yeah.
so
So
as you
what
said,
in that case,
balance.
what you can do is you can ask the person, do you need extra help in this? Maybe if they're doing the same mistake 4 times, 5 times, maybe they're lacking in a quality or lacking in some way if they're doing that. So then you can dig a little deeper and understand, why is that person not right for the job, or are they lacking in a quality which is required for this job? If they same mistake over and over again, so then that digging a little deeper can also happen. So that you're also giving them the benefit of doubt. Also, nothing is the case. If they're just doing it out of that, then of course, then you have to prioritize very clearly. Like you have to have that strict and all of those things. Then.
Okay. Thanks, Sanjana.
Sure. I have another good question. I think I'll just take it. It says, to giving second chances, should we be direct for what was
Hello?
not right or sugarcoat things?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yes. My question is in office feedback, when there is a promotion, I get a feedback that I need to improve my soft skills more to get a promotion, and how to handle it, because sometimes because of office politics, someone says that and someone tries to bring you down. So how to negate it? How to solve this problem? Like if someone says I am having a soft skill problem.
So if you think you're, okay, I'm just if somebody says you have soft skills problems, first you recognize, do you have it? Are you not able to build relationships and works? Do you not have friendships in your workplace or all of that, right? First, it's important that if they're saying it repeatedly multiple times, just kind of analyze, do you have enough personal relationships? Do you not have any personal relationships? And also, whoever has given the feedback, if you're in a position to ask them to dig a little deeper, soft skills in terms of what? Should I be talking more, or should I be engaging more? Or because there are different levels of soft. So should I be more polite? Is my way of asking wrong? There can be a lot of things with soft skills. Am I not friendly enough? Lots of things. So what is exactly that is lacking in the soft skill is important, right? Because obviously not lacking in everything. Maybe some aspect which is required for the job is lacking. And then that feedback where you're getting from, those are the right people to ask them also, okay, I want to improve. Tell me what are the areas? Because soft skills is large. Which area is the problem, like,
Okay.
in terms of.
Okay.
So that is very important, I feel like.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm audible.
Yes.
Hi. Hey, my question is like if you're working remotely for entire week except for 1 or 2 days at office, then how do you build the trust and friendship and strong relationships at office kind of?
Yeah. So yeah, that's a great question, especially with the in view of how work has changed. Was that I feel that the days you do go to office and the people that you do meet, I think it would be great to do the team lunch instead of sitting. So food is a great way again to build. So make sure that you're doing your team lunches whenever you're meeting each other. Say that okay, this week we're meeting. Let's discuss what if it's a friendly environment of the office and you want to build that. So let's discuss what was the best thing that happened to us through the week. We didn't meet each other. Let's talk about that. So again, building that and fostering it. If somebody's looking, if you want to build that, somebody looks off, somebody looks dull, you don't know what has happened. Make that little bit of an effort, saying, I see that you look a little dull. What happened? So even though you guys are meeting once a week, stay, because when you meet every day, you discuss every day, ki, "Acha, this happened, that happened, this happened," right? When you meet only once a week, you don't have that kind of time. You must have forgotten also what happened. But kind of make that active effort, like tea time, sit, have that whatever half an hour you have, your lunch time, sit and be like, okay, let's catch up. Like let's build this and not keep it, not keep it strictly professional also. Or even about your work, like what do you like about working from home? How have you enjoyed it? When you meet, I feel like these are really great ways to understand each other more and build that relationship. So, discuss your week, even though you've not seen each other, like how you discuss your day, like maybe discuss your week. So I think it's a great way to build that. Make sure you have lunch with each other or like have a cup of tea with each other. That is a great way to make an informal communication.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Samay, any more questions?
Yeah, there are quite a few questions. I just
Challenge.
enabled Sai Fritya. Since we are short on time, we have only about 5 minutes, right? So we'll
Yeah.
take one or two more questions and then we can close.
Sure.
Yeah. So, hello, Sanjana.
Hi.
So, I just want to know, my question is sometimes we see in the team that even if, uh, example, I'm not in a lead position, I'm in a production or an associate position, I can say. So, in the same team, we would be having like four people, and the workload is for two people, it will be higher, and for the other two people, it's not equal. And at the same time, they get more leisure time where the workload management is not proper. And when this was discussed with the manager, I just want to know how these kind of topics can be discussed with the manager without, uh, you know, hurting the manager or taking it to in a serious way. Or we also see there are some, biases that are given to the other employees in the same team. But I mean, my point is not equally treated to the all the associates. So how can I raise this concern to my manager?
Okay. So, yeah, this is a very common where when a manager is managing a team of more than 2, 3 people, somewhere or the other, a lot of us people will feel like this unfair and unequal treatment. If your manager is someone that is open, like if you're in the team because obviously you're an important member of the team, a valuable member of the team. So most managers, if they're good managers, they're open to having this dialogue. So you can start off, I feel like, firstly in a very testing the waters way, okay, in a very very informal. Also, if somebody has had this manager before, or if it's another colleague, like you said, two of you are feeling the same way, both of you can also discuss and see, like, okay, this is what I'm feeling. Are you feeling? Have you had this discussion with the manager? You want to personally go ahead, I think start small, like just take one small point, discuss with him, see their reaction, right? You'll understand from their reaction, are they open to discussing this a little bit further or no? Instead of just going all out and like, okay, no, this is happening and you're treating me unfairly. This might not be taken well from the manager, obviously, right? If you're going and blaming. So you can start small, like kind of testing the waters where you put one point across saying, you can just be like, this is my, whatever my workload, it's taking a little bit of time. Is there a way we can redistribute this somewhere? So it's a very professional thing you're asking, like, this is, I'm feeling overworked. Can we you'll understand if they're open to it. And then I think from there you can find your way in and start asking the bit deeper questions. Like, did you understand what I'm trying to say? Like, instead of going all out. So hi.
Yes, I got your point.
Yeah, right. So obviously, because you don't want to ruffle that feather by just going, and maybe he's not even aware he's doing it. Maybe you are feeling like, okay, this is happening. Sometimes that happens. Maybe he thinks he's treating everyone equally. Most of the people think that they are treating everyone equally, right? So he might not take it in a very nice way if you just go and do this. This way, it kind of shows you also as a mature person that you're trying to, do this in a very mature way instead of just blaming, saying you're treating unequally. It shows you also, like, it shows your manager that, okay, you can have a mature conversation. You can ask a little tough questions. And then whatever answer he gives you, I think your future communication will be based on that. But I feel like start with testing the waters. If you've worked with manager long enough, if you know them on a personal level, if you know, okay, they will take it well, then it's best to have an open, honest communication with them. But if you're still a new member and you're not sure how they'll take it, I think it's best to start with like testing the waters, but in a nice, like take one point, test the water and see, and then slowly you can build on that.
Yeah, sure. I'll try that. Thank you.
Yeah.
Sure. I think we come to the end of the session, Sanjana. Is there anything else that you would like to share with everyone? Or any quick questions on the chat that you would like to
There are lots on the
address?
chat, so I'm
Maybe you can take up one question and then we
okay.
can close.
There was one question which was, yeah. So in reference to giving second chances, should we be direct towards what was not right or sugarcoat things? I think clear, concise, and direct is the way to go, especially when you're trying to give a second chance. And if it's somebody who is not liking the direct in terms of, doesn't have to be rude. Direct doesn't have to be rude. Okay. Please understand there's a difference between being direct and being rude. A lot of us think if we are being direct, we're being rude. No. I think that is a boundary and a communication strategy everyone needs to understand. Being direct about what you need is not being rude. I think that is very important. So you don't have to sugarcoat things. You don't have to stroke someone's ego, especially if it's a second chance that you're willing to give someone. It's not your job to sugarcoat and things. I feel like direct, clear, and concise. Not rude, direct, clear, and concise. It is not equal to rude. So I think everyone should take that, because in our society, Indian workplace, Indian culture, it's a cultural thing. Direct bolte to rude lagta hai. No, it's not rude. Direct is different, rude is different. Okay. So I hope, I think that is a good question. I feel like that could help a lot of people also. Yeah, Soumya?
Sure. Thanks. Thank you so much. And thanks everyone for joining in, right? And it was quite an engaging session, Sanjana. Thanks a lot. It truly hit home because I personally, struggle with maintaining healthy relationships. And, it really gave me clarity in the sense, the way that you structured every step, right? It made it seem quite, like approachable and actionable too. So grateful for all the insights that you shared. And thanks once again, everyone, for joining in. We hope to connect with you again for next month's webinar and
Sure.
hope to see you all joining in again.
Sure. Thank you so much,
Thank
everyone.
you.
There were lots of questions. We couldn't take everything, but I hope you all got a little bit out of this. Breath work is important, centering yourself, self-care, direct is unequal to read, unequal to rude, open communication. Thank you so much, everyone.